Hi, good afternoon, Hayley. Garnett from Pinkney Grunwells solicitors. That's right, isn't it?
It is right, yes.
Excellent. Yeah, if you'd just like to start off, introduce yourself, what you do, who you are, how long you've been doing it for, please.
Okay, so I'm Hayley. My day job is a civil litigation solicitor, which means I argue for a living. So I spend a lot of time in court,
Yeah.
arguing about anything that one person can argue about with somebody else. It's brilliant. The other part of my role is I'm a partner at the firm. So we have all of the management side that isn't quite as exciting as arguing in court.
Brilliant. So we've been talking with other sort of business owners around COVID, the impact of that. What was the biggest impact for you at your firm?
I think the biggest impact, well, there was two. First, the day that we went into lockdown, we had a partners meeting and decided we have to close our doors, same as lots of other businesses, which threw me into a complete panic. I just thought, that's it. It's good night, Vienna. The doors will close forever. We will never get through this. So we were all having to work ridiculously hard. My daughter's school was letting her go to school, but there were no school buses. So I was having to get up and do a 50-mile round trip before I even got to work. Then I would get into work and pick up work and files to take through to another solicitor who had a vulnerable child, so had to be at home. So she could do some work and then get back to my office to do my work. And then at the end of the day, go and do another 50-mile round trip to pick my daughter up. So I'm not proud to admit, I got caught speeding 3 times that first week.
Wow.
And then it was 9 points on my license. So one of the biggest COVID impacts for me is I now drive really slowly.
Well, that could be a positive impact there.
Yeah, literally every minute mattered at that point because same as everyone, we had no idea what was coming, how long it was going to last, and I was panicking quite a bit. So aside from the personal COVID impact, I think when conveyancing stopped, when the government said no more moving house, that had a massive impact on us because conveyancing work is our bread and butter, and at the time probably made up half of our income. So we lost that overnight. Wow. So that had a massive impact. Yeah.
So with that impact in mind, did you take some actions, obviously in light of that? And have you sort of kept them, I suppose? Yeah, what's the situation around what you did in response to that?
We furloughed as many of our conveyancing staff as we could. We had very much a skeleton staff just to keep things ticking along, even though we couldn't actually complete them, and tried to reduce our outgoings as much as possible. And us litigators and the family team who were allowed to continue working, we were doing everything we could to get as much work in as possible. So realistically, each solicitor probably had 1.5 workloads during that time to try and bring in the impact to offset the finances that we'd lost from conveyancing. So no, we haven't kept that in place. Thank God. I think we'd have all gone around the bend by now. So we are pretty much back to normal and on a normal, even keel, I'm very pleased to say.
Okay, good stuff. That's good to hear. Yeah, different businesses have had obviously different responses depending on what sector they've been operating in. Some keep the changes that they've had and realized, oh, why were we doing that before? We don't need to do it. But obviously in your circumstances, it sounds like you've been happy to get back to standard normal trading ways. Yeah. Okay, so for you guys, what does the future look like? What do you see as the main challenges moving forward?
I think the future for us is consolidating on the good work that we've done over the last few years. Forgetting about COVID, we'll just scoot over that. We took over as new partners 9 years ago now, almost 9 years ago. And it's been very much a work in progress. When we first took over, when I came back to the firm, it was still dictation machines with little tapes. We hadn't quite hit the 21st century on the Yorkshire coast. So one of the first things we did was bring in digital dictation, which doesn't sound like a big deal now, but 9 years ago it really was. So yeah, we've put a lot of things in place over the last 9 years to make it our firm, and modernise it. And we also opened a new office in Driffield about 4 or 5 years ago, and that's doing brilliantly. So I think now we want to hunker down and perfect the systems and processes that we already have in place. I don't think we want to start taking over the world quite yet. Challenges, I think recruitment is the biggest challenge. And I don't think that's just us. Everyone that I speak to, business owner in this area, struggles massively with recruitment, which always amazes me, because we live in one of the most gorgeous parts of the world. We've got the coast on our doorstep, the Wolds, the Yorkshire Moors, the national parks, but you can't attract anyone here. And yeah, it baffles me. We can't offer city wages. And I think lots of firms are the same. And particularly with us, we are very passionate about access to justice and making sure that as many people in this area can afford to use us, because there's no point having a solicitor's firm if no one can afford you. Sure. But because of that, we don't have the money to pay big wages either. So the majority of our employees are women. Out of our 60 staff, we have 6 or 7 men. The rest are all female, and I think that's because they want the work-life balance, and we can offer flexibility. Yeah, whereas the men tend to want big wages, and they go off to Leeds or York or wherever and can earn a lot more, but God, they have to work for it. There's no such thing as a 9 to 5.
Yeah, and there's a bit of travel time, isn't there, to those kind of places from
absolutely. So if you want to spend 2 or 3 hours a day in a car, feel free, but I'd much rather do 20 minutes up the road and have a walk to the beach at lunchtime and have fish and chips and leave at 5 o'clock. Surely
makes a big difference. Brilliant.
I think so.
Okay, so thank you very much for that. In terms of just sort of moving to yourself, really, and giving, if we were to step back in time and speak to yourself at 18, is there a good bit of advice that you would offer an 18-year-old Hayley?
Probably that the grass isn't greener, and to try and work out and drill down exactly what it is that you want. Because I qualified at Pinkney Grunwells and I stayed for 3 years, and then I was headhunted by a city firm. And it wasn't so much the increase in money, because money is not a massive motivator for me, but it was the idea of having a purpose-built court building rather than a little office above Iceland in Scarborough. And just the idea of having your own court, I just thought, wow, my mind is blown. However, on my first day of the new job, I realised I'd made a really big mistake, because Pinkney Grunwells, it was just such a lovely place to work, and we all had such a good relationship with each other, and I think that counts for so much, doesn't it?
Massively. If you're spending, when it comes to work, a lot of your life with certain people during, majority of your life, it can be in the working situation. It's important that if you get on with those people, then that makes a huge difference to your quality of life.
It does. So I then spent the next 10 years working out how to come back. And it was quite annoying, because they would contact me and say, brilliant, we've got an opening for you. And I would say, okay, I'm on my adoption leave at the moment, so I'm not working anywhere. And then I contacted them and said, I can come back now. And they said, yeah, we're sort of in the middle of a recession. We can't afford to take anyone else on. And then eventually the stars aligned and I came back 9 years ago.
There we go. When the time is right, things will happen.
Yeah.
So if you could let us know if there's anything that inspires you, either sort of ongoing or currently. So it might be friends, family, people in the workplace, the team at work, that kind of thing. Anything that you'd share that inspires you?
Yeah, my staff. On a personal level, because they're all just decent people, and they all work incredibly hard, which makes me want to up my game, because if I don't make the right decisions, I don't want to have to close 5 offices and make 60 people redundant. So when some people go to bed at night and worry about paying their mortgage, I worry about paying 60 people's mortgages. And that inspires me to be as good as I can.
Good answer. Thank you very much. And sort of lastly, is there any latest news about your business? Anything that you might like to share about what you're up to at the moment?
We're always up to something. We've just done dragon boat racing at Wycombe Lakes, and we were 7th out of 25. So I really want to share that with the world, because 4 of the teams were gyms. So I think they should be disqualified because they have an unfair advantage. Actually fit people, whereas we just rolled out of bed and rocked up. So if you take away those 4 teams, we were actually 3rd. So I'll take
Excellent.
that. And work-wise, we're incredibly busy at the moment with no-fault divorces. It seems there have been quite a few people just sat around thinking, we don't really want to start the mudslinging, but now you're able to divorce just with agreement. We're incredibly busy with that.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, lovely to hear from you. Most appreciated. And enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thank you very much, Hayley Garnett.
Thank you.